I always tell people that you're more capable than you think you are.
Be original. Don't be like the guy on the radio. Great music will prevail. So I would tell people, make great music. Don't make other people's music. Make your own.
Money don't make me, so I just say, you know what? I just gotta be happy in my life. Build your team. Look around you. Figure out all these parts, because you can't do it all yourself. You're gonna burn out and get tired.
Never burn any bridges. You never know who someone's gonna be.
I must not fear. Fear is the mind killer.
Welcome to the Indie Playbook presented by Focused Noise. This is episode number 8, and if you've enjoyed what you've heard so far, please subscribe on the podcast app and give us a solid rating and review. We'd really appreciate it. We really appreciate the support so far. And in today's episode, we're going to flip the script a little bit, but it still ties back into music. Today's guest is Albie Rosario, the men's lifestyle marketing director at Stance Socks. You've probably seen a number of their incredible artist collaborations, and Albie's been at the forefront of almost all of them. I met Albie along with the rest of my team at the Agenda trade show in Long Beach, and we quickly struck up a deal to collaborate with two of our legendary artists, which you'll hear him reference a couple times throughout the show. But before we get into the show, and in celebration of our 8th episode, I'm going to give away a special package from Stance. This is their Praise collection, which you may have seen. It's got socks with Notorious B.I.G, Eazy-E, and Aaliyah, and it's a 3-pack, and it's incredible, and I want to give it away to the 8th person to email us. And all you got to do is email your favorite track from Biggie, Aaliyah, or Eazy-E to podcast@focusednoise.com. That's podcast@focusednoise.com. And we will get back to the 8th person. We'll reach out, we'll get your address, and we'll mail you the socks. Very simple. And in this episode, Albie takes us through his journey from DJing parties to his beginnings at LRG to working with artists and landing at Stance. Brand partnerships in apparel can be such an important revenue stream for artists these days. So I wanted to speak with Albie because he's such an expert and he has years of experience marrying fashion with music. So hopefully you get some really good ideas from Albie and some advice that you can use in your own career. So for now, here's Albie. So we're at Stance headquarters with Albie Rosario with a brand new job title and promotion as of today, right?
That's right, yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you, man.
Yeah. So what's your new job title?
Men's lifestyle marketing director here at Stance Socks.
It's dope.
Yeah, I'm really hyped on the opportunity, so I'll be overseeing just kind of how the globe sees Stance lifestyle product for men's. Not just only what I've been working on the last 3 years, which was the Anthem category, but just overall. And that includes underwear and socks and all the new categories that we have brewing that the people are hopefully going to see soon.
It's dope. And for those who can't see, there's a huge box of socks right here.
Yeah.
That looks like a lot of dope stuff in there.
A lot of projects in 3 years here, a lot of passion projects, to be honest. And I was just telling Mike here, it all first started just kind of me getting an opportunity to work here at Stance a little over 3 years ago. They just said, hey, we really want somebody in here that kind of knows all about sneaker culture, music culture within hip hop, and just, the lifestyle of it all. So I took the opportunity on and, just right out the gates, we wanted to build a whole new category that spoke to those retailers that, played in that world in fashion. So we created the name Anthem. Anthem to me was sort of like what I really feel street fashion, just street consumers, people that are embedded in the culture are, is they create the noise that will kind of ripple on to other folks out there. We create the influence. So Anthem just to me was just a strong word. It felt right. And, that was just the name out the gate. We created a small line because it was a test. Let's see if he can do it. Mm-hmm. And it went really well out the gates.
What was the first piece you created?
The actual first piece was a collaboration with TDE. So, I reached out to Dave over at TDE, and he kind of hit me up, and he's like, so what do you guys want to do? I was like, we'll just do whatever you want. I want to just be authentic. And he's like, cool, we're going to do 2 socks. I want to put every member of TDE on one sock and then just our logo on the other. And, just keep it scarce and limited. And it sold out in like 2 days. And it was a trip because when I first like saw that come out, that actual day I just saw like Schoolboy like on Twitter posting it. And then everybody's Instagram, like even Kendrick, I was like, holy shit. Right. So I ran over to like, my lead. I was like, my boss at the time, I was like, yo, look, fucking Kendrick Lamar shouting out Stance, this is amazing. Like, to me, it was like, because, I listen to this music, this is my whole lifestyle. So that was a really dope entrance to, my work here at Stance.
And how many pieces did you initially put out?
I think we only did 1,000 of each style. Oh, okay. Yeah, it was pretty small.
And where did you house them? Was it all online?
Yeah, it was all online, TDE, topdogentertainment.com, and of course when those guys push it out to their fan base, all over the globe.
Yeah, that helps.
And, it being Stance too at the time, because, I definitely knew Stance before I got here, just the quality of the product. And that's always like really been like the cornerstone of the business, is the quality of the product is great. So people are accepting of it and wanting to do collaborations. And just like, Eric here helped me do a collaboration that's coming out next holiday.
Yeah, 2018.
That's going to be a banger.
Yeah, I can't wait.
So anyways, then we built a collection, and it wasn't just necessarily about hip hop music. We wanted to also do styles and create different products that kind of spoke with street fashion. So, of course, we paired a lot of socks up with certain shoes that should be in your collection in certain colorways, in red, black, and whites, right. And just kind of built on those aesthetics too. And that really, really translated well within a lot of the sneaker boutiques and sneaker doors. Also, like, cool collaborations that were just unique to sneaker boutiques, like Kith, Undefeated, are all things I kind of worked on.
Right.
So, those kind of things, and just really started to amplify the Anthem category here at Stance.
Right.
And then I brought on individuals to be the faces of it. So, Stolly was already part of the Stance family.
Right.
But he was just kind of floating out there, and just this kind of, he wasn't really part of a category. So, I mean, Stolly, if you know who Stolly is,
we know Stolly. Good dude.
Great guy.
Yeah.
And a true sneaker connoisseur, good family man, and an ill lyricist. So definitely adding him on was easy. Mm-hmm. And just, I didn't really want to necessarily just do all musicians. I wanted to balance it out. So I brought in 13th Witness, a photographer out of New York City. Mm-hmm. He's amazing. And, he's done a lot of amazing collaborations with Jordan, Nike, Converse, you name it, Sir. He's been out there doing his thing. And just kind of showcase his talent, just kind of going out there and shooting what, he sees through his lens set. Then we also brought in Ronnie Feig of Kith to kind of be, I guess a face for the fashion, more street fashion part of the category.
Right.
And then to top it off, I needed just, somebody out there that was kind of like a little bit more easier to understand. So Big Sean came on board, and that's currently still the team today, and, we do plan to add on more names soon. Kind of told you guys off the record, what that looks like. So
right.
It's going to be pretty dope.
And you guys have done a ton of brand collaborations with different artists and sports and other entertainment. What do you think was the most important collaboration that's helped really blow up this company, if you could name one?
It wouldn't be my collaboration to blow up the company. It would probably be the on-court deal with the NBA, which was done by my former boss, Clark Miyazaki. Mm-hmm. He had a personal relationship with the NBA. And at the time, I think Adidas didn't carve out the sock part of the uniform. So
They're kicking themselves now?
Well, Nike now currently has it all.
Oh.
They bought it.
Oh, that
up.
was part of those new alternative uniforms that they posted and everything.
Yeah, this upcoming season, Nike's taking the whole uniform. But we had 2 good years on court, and Adidas being our allies, it was very easy to kind of like plug in. They were cool, and we really brought a quality sock onto the court on all the superstars that we see every day. And then that tied into sneaker culture, how red hot it is. Mm-hmm. I mean, right away, like everywhere, kicks on fire, nice kicks, sneaker news. You'd see like what LeBron was wearing, what Harden was wearing, what at the time when Kobe was wearing, and then you see that logo, that Stance logo. So that really brought a lot of eyeballs to Stance for a company-wide, like what really blew up Stance.
Do you know how long that deal took to get done?
It took some time. Yeah, a lot of back and forth. My former boss, Clark Miyazaki, is one of the best in the game. He's very disarming. He's a lovable guy, but a very shrewd, lovable businessman.
That's good.
Yeah, he made it happen.
Well, I definitely want to go back to some of the successes of Stance and what you think has attributed to it. But as I see the Tribe Called Quest socks that I love, my favorite group of all time. But you started your career DJing, taking after your father. That's what you told me.
Yeah.
So I wanted to get a little into that and how him being a DJ kind of shaped your musical tastes.
Yeah, I think, the era that we grew up in, I was born in 79, so records were definitely still around. And my parents had me at 17 years old, so they were kind of like cool parents, but strict. My dad's Puerto Rican, my mom's Mexican, but she's like, she's tough.
Yeah.
Great mother, but she did it right. She was a good balance of tough and love. So, I was always around like just current music. They were watching MTV. They were young. MTV was popping at the time. More at that time, I believe in the early 80s was more, new wave rock. And then, they would have these parties at the house. At the time we were living in Alhambra, and the turntables would be out. My dad would be DJing, digging through his records. And I just kind of was just always around music. So I really appreciated it. And then, one day, I saw something interesting that kind of caught my eye, which was a music movie that kind of scared me, to be honest with you, which was called Thriller from Michael Jackson.
Right.
And it was cool in the beginning, but then this dude turns into a werewolf, but then he turns back to like a normal dude, and he's on a date, and there's some rhythm going, and my foot's tapping, but then he turns around, and now he's a zombie. And then that was like, okay. And then I kind of learned about Michael, and Off the Wall. My dad had those records, and of course everybody had Thriller. So, on top of that, my dad was just always playing music in the car and just DJing. And I remember just being little at one of his gigs for some reason, just looking over and people were dancing. I'm just in the DJ booth and he's slapping on records. And then later I caught some money somehow and invested it, and the investment went well, so I took all the money out like an idiot and spent it all on turntables.
What was that investment, you remember?
It was a company called QQQ, and my dad's friend just told me to invest. It was $1,200.
Right.
It was a lot of money for me at the time, 17 years old. So I was like, yeah. And then my friend Mason had some like Gemini turntables, and we always just be like, man, but Techniques.
Yeah, you need the techniques.
Those are the ones, So I had an opportunity to then, I was like, Dad, I want to take out all my money and buy these. And he's like, are you sure? And then they were sitting there about not the crappiest, but at the time, the mixer was the 05 Vestax, but I can only afford the 06.
Right.
And I was really into the equipment and whatnot, but I, had to pick and choose my battles. So I got the 06, and then I just quickly realized that the real investment was in the records.
Yeah.
And there was no Serato at this time. So I hustled, man. And, I was in college. I went to San Diego State. We would hustle and, play at parties and whatnot, make $100, for college. It's great.
I did the exact same thing. That's how I started DJing too.
And, yeah, man. So, and then it kind of snowballed into more opportunities. And I got my first job out of college with LRG. So Jonas Bavacqua, who was one of the founders of LRG, he DJ'd, and LRG was not anything but a small like hip hop skate company at that time. And you know, he would have to hustle and DJ and make money to pay for things like stickers and catalogs, and you know, and then things started to get better, and he's like, I don't need to DJ anymore. Do you want to do this? And I was like, yeah. So I would help him in the beginning. He's like, yo, I'm gonna go talk to this girl or go do whatever. If you DJ from this time to this time, I'll give you $50. Hell yeah, that's $50.
What was your position at LRG back then?
I was the visual merchandiser manager. That was my very first position. Actually, my very first position was street team manager.
Okay.
So back then, like, street teams were big. You know, I would hustle records through Loud, SRC. That was a great way to get free records too.
Loud killed it on the street teams.
They did.
Yeah.
And it was like, you know, you just bomb San Diego up, you know, in front of like 4th and B or what have you, and send in pictures, and they'd send you $1,000 and all the records you wanted.
Right.
That was amazing. So, yeah, it was just hustling, man, and you know, it just kind of fed into my DJ passion, and yeah, it was cool.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I know so many people that's their story, is just like they got out there and hustled in the streets, handed out flyers, put up posters. I did the same thing, and that's where someone takes notice. It's like, okay, this kid hustles. Let me give him a real job and see what he can do, you know? I think sometimes that's lost on younger people, is that just go out and get it. If you want something, just make it happen.
Yeah, you gotta definitely be relentless, and you know, going out and 11 o'clock at night, school night, putting up posters, doing handouts or whatever, making sure, like, you know, you wait for the DJ to hand him the most current records as he's walking out of the club, or the artist or what have you, and then you have to get your proof.
Right.
It's a hustle.
Yeah, it is.
So it's work.
Yeah. So what do you think you learned most at LRG, being there in the beginning stages?
Oh man, so much. I mean, we were just a bunch of, as Jonas put it, we were a bunch of kids running an expensive lemonade stand. It was insane. I mean, I remember when we made our first $100,000, and we went to Del Taco, and I remember, I think we made $1 million or something, and they brought in a bunch of champagne for like the first employees. I have that photo here.
Del Taco was at 100,000, and then at $1 million they brought champagne.
Yeah, man. I mean, we were passionate about it. Like, when I went to work for LRG, like, full time out of college, 9/11 just happened, so a lot of jobs were cut, and especially for kids with no experience out of college. So for them to give me the opportunity to you know, come in and work at minimum wage for the company that I was kind of passionate about, and I had to move back home with parents, you know, after college, and I don't know what you think in college. I think, you know, you're going to go out and get this job, and that, you know, that's the start of life, but it's a hustle too, man. So we made it happen, man. All these people in this photo here, like, you know, are all special people to me. It's my family. So it was a special time in fashion.
Yeah.
And we were definitely the underdogs. There was big dogs back then, like Echo and Fat Farm and Aniche, and, you know, even lower grade monsters like 555 Soul and Academics, and remember all that stuff?
I remember it all. Yeah.
So then, you know, we got our time to shine, and things really escalated. So I guess what I just learned is just a lot about business highs and lows, ups and downs, and just kind of just gaining experience just from not having experience.
What do you think was the biggest mistake you made while trying to get people to notice you in the industry?
You know, fashion is up and down. So sometimes I think, you know, you just got to kind of keep the ego at check a lot, because, hey, one day you're LRG and you're everywhere, but man, fashion moves fast.
Right.
And, you know, we see it today with Nike having their woes, you know, and, you know, they're supposed to make $50 billion by 2020, and all of a sudden Yeezy leaves, steps over to Adidas, and, you know, yeah, even, you know, Under Armour's having their woes too, but they're in the mix now. Puma signing a bunch of music artists. I mean, it's crazy right now. So that, you know, you just got to kind of keep your head down and just try to do the best you can, and just be good to people and work hard. I don't know, as corny as that sounds, that's kind of how that's the way I feel.
I mean, that's every industry really, and you hit it on the head, especially we're in the music industry. You deal with so many egos, and you just kind of have to keep in mind like we're all just here trying to do a good job, do right by people, you know.
Yeah.
That's the best
Yep.
you can do.
Yep, that's it.
So you've worked with quite a few iconic figures at this point now, right?
Yeah, it's been fun.
Who would you say is the most interesting personality that you've worked with?
Oh man, I would say recently I would say interesting because they've just seen a lot of things within their life. And I did a project this year with Mr. Cartoon and Esteban Oriol. So if you don't know who that is, Esteban Oriol is a global famed photographer that really shoots amazing street culture photos, and also music photos and professional photos. And he's just an amazing man. And then Mr. Cartoon, his friend and partner within all this, is obviously an amazing street artist, tattoo artist, collaborator. Their stories, man, and Stretch and Bobbito, just interviewed him yesterday for What's Good with Stretch and Bobbito on NPR here in LA. You could just sit back and just listen to some stuff, how crazy LA was back in the early 80s, mid 80s, what they saw, their hustles, what they saw through street life, from drug dealers to gangs to, low riding and just traveling the world and Taliban and all kinds of stuff that's just like they've seen and done. It's interesting to me just because, I don't know if I'll ever be in a position where what they saw, through their life. So this collaboration was really special. This was celebrating their 25 years.
Wow.
As the godfathers of Los
That's
Angeles street
great
culture.
packaging. That looks incredible.
Yeah, so, one of Esteban's most iconic photos is the LA woman hands. That's actually his wife's hands. So we carded that, and then Cartoon did a exclusive LA piece of art on his sock. And then we just did a pin set here, and then really tough, but, we wanted to keep it kind of authentic. We did a zine, and it kind of goes through all of their art from the last 25 years. Art meaning photography, illustration, family, life, culture.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, just recently, this just pops in my head. These guys were both really good. This project was amazing. We had an amazing event at Nice Kicks in downtown LA. Good dudes.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
That's great. Who would you say is the most successful person that you have worked with to this point?
Successful.
And this is your definition of success, so.
Yeah, it's hard to answer that for me because there's so many ways you can kind of cut up success, financially, success with family, success with, doing what makes somebody happy. I would say just everybody I've worked with at companies we've always seemed to, my teams at LRG, my teams at the Hundreds, my teams here at Stance, we've always seemed to have a good time with what we do. So I would say the people I work with.
Yeah.
We're not here, pulling our hair out. What we do is fun. Like we create creative products for people to wear and express themselves. So that's kind of been a success if you can kind of do things that you're interested in and have fun at doing it. I see that as success.
Yeah, that's what I always tell my son, to find something you love and figure out a way to make money at it.
Yeah.
Every day we get to enjoy what we do, and
Yep.
a lot of people don't.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to sound cliche because I think most people kind of would kind of say something like that, but to me, that's what it is.
Right. And so, in working with a lot of entertainers and athletes and different personalities, what's the most challenging part of working with a celebrity in general?
Sometimes it's communication.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's communication. Sometimes it's getting your point across. A good example of that, I think, would be probably our most sold sock this year. Second, I'm just grabbing something.
That's cool.
So I work with the estate of Tupac Shakur, and they started to kind of do projects, with his likeness. So I said, hey, we're Stan Socks. Yeah, we know who you are. Great, let's do something. Okay, cool. We want it to sell and be successful. So one of our aesthetics is our character socks.
Right.
Kids like it. It expresses, who they're listening to, who their heroes are within music, within culture. So
we just pulled out the Cameron.
The Killer
one.
Cam, yeah. This one's amazing with the fur.
Yeah.
So dope. So, anyways, what I mean by they don't understand is, they said, hey, you just made Tupac as a character with the bandana tying around, his head.
Whose idea was the bandana, by the way?
Oh, this is our designer, Omar Rajput. He's incredible. But,
okay.
They're like, you're making fun of him in a sense. And I was like, nah, this is like something that we do. And, just to kind of sometimes translate that to people that are sensitive about, somebody that's passed away or somebody, that they're managing, is you just kind of got to be balanced and explain what you're doing. So, we showed them what we did with Kobe Bryant. We showed them what we did with Cameron, and they got it. And this year, this is our number one selling sock. And what I'm hearing is the way the momentum's going with sales, it could be our number one selling sock ever, maybe even beating out the American flag, which is crazy to me.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So yeah, just, it's all case by case. This particular project here with a Tribe Called Quest. So I worked with Phife Dawg in the past at LRG. Mm-hmm. So Phife got it. He's like, hey, I love Stance. Phife was a big hoops sports guy. He's like, send me all your hoop stuff, all your sports stuff. I love it. So he got it, but then Q-Tip didn't get it. He's like, socks, I don't know. Well, this is weird. It's on your feet. That's my art, So actually, Phife was the one that pushed this project through. Mm. So that's pretty dope. Like, I was on emails with him, like fighting with Q-Tip. Like, no, we're going to do this. This is like what we need to do. So
is that a surreal experience from like thinking back to when you were a kid listening to A Tribe Called Quest?
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. And I don't know. I mean, shout out to DJ Rosterroot and rest in peace Phife Dawg for helping put this through. And man, I mean, when Clark, at the time my boss, he's like, you want to do Tribe Called Quest? They're so old. Like, I'm like, nah, man, trust me. And that fall season was our second iteration of Star Wars, which was a big seller for Stance. And this sock sold out more than Star Wars that season, which was Midnight Marauders, A Tribe Called Quest. So I was like...
That's incredible. That's a big win for you, for pushing that through.
It's hard to beat Star Wars, man.
Yeah. That's incredible.
So it's working.
And, I mean, you obviously have a lot of deadlines and a lot of things that could possibly get you stressed out in life. What do you do to avoid getting stressed out?
Oh, man, it's tough. I'm working on a lot of projects and juggling a lot of stuff constantly. I think what helps me not get stressed out is just not constantly chipping away at work, but trying to balance regular life too, having children, having a wife, being there, just living. Mm-hmm. But also, like, it's not just 9 to 5 and you got to just plug in all the time and just stay on it. And that's kind of the best you can do, and just kind of keep, when we worked on our project and it never stopped, like, let's get it done. And it moved pretty fast. And I told you when I first met you, if we get this done, like, we can do it now.
Yeah.
So you just got to stay on it. And if you stay on it and keep organized as much as you can, you'll feel less stressed.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Do you do anything to decompress, just to kind of get away from it all?
Just, hang out with my family, play with my kids. I don't know. I just kind of like just hanging out with my fam, just rolling around and just having fun.
Yeah.
Nothing too like, hey, I do like, working out or yoga. I mean, I do work out, but like, I don't know, just my family and just hanging out with them is cool for me.
Yeah. Over the years, you've produced a lot of content for Stance, right? You've been involved in creating a lot of that. If you could pinpoint one thing that you really focus on for creating brand awareness, what would it be?
Just choosing like the right partnerships that I think, are going to interest the youth and interest, a wider range of a consumer. So my kind of goal is always like 14 to 28 years old, or maybe, give or take a couple years.
Right.
So, as I'm pulling out some of these socks, I mean, you can kind of do the math how old some of these titles are, like, Street Fighter, which is coming out, or Doom, or,
How do some of these more classic, legendary type of socks do with the kids? Because is there kind of a throwback feel where they don't even know what it is necessarily, but they're like, oh, that was cool, I'm still going to rock it?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, man. You would be surprised, like, how many people that are, 14 to 18 years old, do know who Cameron is and listen to the Diplomats, or, of course, Tupac is Eazy. That's a super legend, and or Tribe Called Quest. Like, yeah, I listen to Tribe. I know my roots. I know about hip hop, and it does translate.
And are you involved with any of the social stuff, like the ad buys on Facebook or Instagram, any of that type of stuff?
Not necessarily, no. But I am aware of what they're using to push content-wise through those facets, yeah.
Okay, but you don't necessarily know what they target in terms of page clicks or brand awareness, or...
Sometimes it's like regional targeting. Sometimes it's, page clicks or, interest on Facebook. All that stuff is algorithmed out really nicely for us. So it's getting better and better, which is really dope.
Right.
So we all that stuff kind of helps play and sell product for Stance for sure.
So one of the reasons I created this podcast is just to kind of talk with people who've been successful in their line of work, mostly in the indie world. And this is a corporate world, but it's kind of not. It's still creative. So I just want to get into some questions about your success and just go from there. Cool. So I'm sure you've heard the saying that you're an average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So Who are your 5 people?
Oh, man. I spend a lot of time with my wife, my kids, and I spend a lot of time at work, to be honest with you. So I'm always around our designers, our merchandisers. But, like I was telling you before we jumped on, I try to get to L.A. at least once a week and, hang out with some friends there. Right. Just kind of get a lens set of what's going on in L.A. Try to get to New York at least like once a quarter. And, just kind of see what's going on there, and then internationally at least once a year, just to kind of get a scope on the world. And I necessarily don't hang out with, 5 people just all the time, but I just kind of like to kind of roll around and just see what's happening all the time.
Do you think it's important to be around people who are high achievers or set big goals if you want to be one of those people yourself?
Absolutely, man. I mean, I could break it down like from DJing. When I first started DJing, it was really hard for me to beat match, and then I was around this kid named Brandon who was like a lot better than me. Right. And you're just in front of it, and I don't know what just happens to you. You just like your body just starts like, I gotta do this, and then you just are around people that are better than you or inspire you, and you just become that. Right. And it does happen that way. And even in business with Clark, just watching him spit his game when he's doing business negotiations, and like the gestures and the key words that he uses and the pauses and the balance of the conversation. And it's an art, man. So like, he's definitely an inspiration. And Jeff, our CEO of Stance, is an amazing talker and, very smart and just teaches you so much about business fundamentals. And my wife, who is just balances me out just with her demeanor and who she is as a person, and she's just my best friend, and she just makes me happy. Right, that's great. Yeah,
I think what you're saying is so important because it's so easy to take for granted. Like, that person's such an amazing speaker; they're just brilliant. Like, they just were born that way. Like they didn't study great speakers and try to figure it out for themselves. Right. So I think it's important to keep in mind that you can always work to be better at anything, really.
Absolutely, yeah, man. It never stops.
Can you take us back to a time when your career hit rock bottom or close, and maybe you felt like giving up, and what you did to push through that?
Oh, yeah. So it was about 2012. I got let go from LRG. So that was tough. It'd been 13 years, and, it was hard because it's like you grow from nothing to the top, and you kind of like, oh, well, this is how it's always going to be forever. and it's like, you kind of get used to that. You get, at the end of my later years there, I was making a good salary, and you kind of get used to that. And then just, the company's having their woes and they have to start cutting. So I got cut. And, just going out there and in the industry and just saying, like, where could I fit? What could I do? Do I still want to do this, or should I, go into something else, do real estate, I don't know, just trying to figure it out. But doing weird interviews, like, on video, or just, it really puts you on your ass. But Bobby Hundreds and Ben Hundreds, with the help of Aaron Levant, who runs Agenda, he brought me in. He's like, hey, you guys should really look at this dude to be your marketing director. And they brought me in, and man, we really made a lot of noise during my time at the Hundreds. And just blessed, man, just being good to people, just being a man of your word, trying to do the best you can, just with our business negotiation that we put together, which you guys will see next holiday.
Again.
Yeah. I hope you feel that, I was like, adamant and passionate and trying to do the right thing.
Yeah, I got that from you for sure.
To get that done. And, the reputation is everything. So I was fortunate enough, I feel, because of that, to be able to jump into another role with a great brand like the Hundreds right after. But it was definitely a situation where I was just like really down at a certain point, because it's just like a relationship, man, for a long time. And all of a sudden it's like a hard breakup.
Right.
But you do bounce back. There are other days, one day at a time.
It always gets better.
Yep.
It's a roller coaster. So do you think that's your biggest value proposition that you bring to the table, that you're kind to people and fair to them, and that's why you've been able to kind of, people plugged you into different situations to help you out when you needed to?
Yeah, man, I think so. I think it's reputation for sure. It's been a long time. I know, I've been blessed to meet a lot of great people out there and have long-lasting relationships. So, if I want to do a Tribe Called Quest sock, and I haven't reached out to Ross DeRoot in some time, but he knows the way I worked. Like, he's gonna plug Fife in on a phone call and be like, let's do this.
Right.
Or it could be like, hey, my man Scotty Coates over at the time at Stone's Throw, he's like, hey, I really want to do something for Dilla's 10-year for donuts. He's like, I'm going to plug you in with Egon and do, get Ma Dukes on the phone, and we're going to do a limited edition Dilla box set donut sock. And, those are old relationships that, just because of, I think, the person that you are and how you project yourself through time and relationships, doors will always open because of that.
Yeah, I agree. Since music's not selling so much anymore and merchandising's become such an important part of the process for artists, can you give some advice to younger artists who are interested in collaborating with brands and figuring out some brand partnerships that make sense? How do they approach it? Is there something specific that brands are looking for? If you're not obviously a Tribe Called Quest or Tupac, how can they kind of approach that situation?
I mean, if you have relationships out there that can open up doors or get you to somewhere, whether it be, merchandise with Stance Socks, New Era, or a collaboration with, it could be anybody from a Supreme to, an Undefeated to a Kith, or just, anybody that you can help both work with each other and leverage each other. If you have any sort of insight or opportunity to do that, I think that's important. There's a lot of merch out there, and a lot of it is really slapped together. And, these kids these days, man, I tell you, man, they're more savvier than ever, man. They're very careful. And that's why a lot of, like, retail and products are sitting out there, is because they know, man, they know that, what's going on, and they value quality, and they value things that are hard to obtain and, like, special.
Right.
And that's a whole thing that's going on culturally right now, and I think it's even going to get, like, even more and more valued as the products that are out there to be purchased from consumers.
Like the exclusivity of it, you mean?
The exclusivity, the quality, I think, is also, so that, that's one advantage, like I was saying before, that Stance does have, is like saying, hey, if you want to do like a tour merch or a TDE, like we are the sock, respectfully and peacefully, like we just want to just make sure, like, we both do a good project together.
Right. And I'm sure at this point you've taken quite a few people under your wing. What's one thing that you always make sure to teach anyone you take under your wing?
I think for me, it's, just have a good time with what you're doing, but, like, let's get it done. Like, I just want everybody to kind of learn the value of relationship and, and just really, really have that in mind the whole way through. Because there's some people that I'm, very close with, and you just got to kind of measure people out and just be like, hey, this person might take some time to kind of grow with, or this person and I just mesh and vibe real quick, and just try to, and maybe this person and I won't really vibe, but just try to be the best you can to people, and hopefully that will translate into something maybe in the future, maybe not.
Right.
Yeah. So that's something that I always try to just be good to people, and just try to keep your head down and work hard.
Good. So I know we're kind of on a time crunch, but I have kind of a series of quick questions to go through.
Okay.
If that's cool with you.
Yeah.
What's the worst part of your job that no one in their right mind would ever want to do?
Oh man, try to get emails back from music artists right away when you're on a deadline. It's tough. They're busy too, but yeah, it's that's always hard, is communication sometimes.
Yeah.
It's like I'm doing it right now with certain artists. I'm like, come on, just get back to me. I just, because I'm under pressure from design's under pressure from production's under pressure from the factories, and it's just all on a calendar, man. And just people don't understand that, and that's fine, because artists, are like that. They're not calendar people. They're artists.
Right.
So, they want to think about projects. They want to say, hey, let me think about this. Let me bring it to some people. Let me chew on it. They're not just like, so go, go, go. So that's a hard balance sometimes.
Okay. Can you name one piece of equipment or a tool that you couldn't live without, besides, say, your laptop or your phone? Because everyone can't live without those these days.
Like a physical tool?
Just, or something, or even an app you use, or a program, just something that you can't live without.
Oh, man. I think for me, man, like, somebody here asked me, like, hey, man, like, how do you, like, stay on top of all this stuff and, quickly know what's going on? Instagram, to me, has been a really valuable tool. I think, I can see everything that's going on, of all the things that I need to see globally, and spend some time on it, make my notes, build on things, see things, understand things that, daily on a rapid pace. So that's been a very valuable tool for me, just to kind of see what's going on. Like, like today, what was like the fastest selling Supreme item, was the hair clippers, like, just okay. So then if somebody talks to me about that, like, I kind of got something to talk about, or like, what's the hottest album right now, so I don't know. I just, and being a grown man, having family, other priorities, it's hard to like sit, watch the news, like, read the paper, go on Mashable, go on like xxl.com and go through all those steps, where Instagram is just like boom, 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 like right there. I kind of get all the information I can and just move, man. That tool is humongous.
Is there any page that you look at consistently that comes to the top of the mind?
Me?
Yeah.
Well, probably sneaker news.
Sneaker news?
Yeah, just self-admittedly, I can't shake, buying sneakers and that whole culture.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, it's just one of the, since I was a kid, since my dad bought me Air Jordans, man, and, I really didn't know what that really was. I kind of knew Michael Jordan, but Magic Johnson was my dude.
Yeah,
and then,
you're a Magic fan?
Well, in the 80s, definitely.
You were in Southern California, though,
of course, yeah, man, that's Showtime. So then, like, all the cool older kids in my neighborhood, like, oh shit, you got Jordans, like, and I was like, why are you looking at me? You never paid it. Because I got these shoes, and then, yeah, man, all the magic happened with him, and it just stuck ever since.
It's crazy how that can change a kid's whole identity, having a pair of Jordans.
It was amazing.
Knowing everything you know now, you feel like following your passion is good advice?
Yeah, definitely. I'm just fortunate, man, to be doing what I'm doing. 38 years old now, and I'll go down to like the Spectrum down the hill, and I see dudes in Oxfords like looking at their watch and dressed like like they're real stiff and like scarfing down lunch, and then it's going back to a cubicle, and it's just like, man, like, I don't know if you want to do that, and at least I don't want to do that. So almost hitting 40, man, doing what I do with things that are amazing and I'm passionate about within music and lifestyle and culture and fashion, and I'm just blessed, man. So if you can find any way to kind of carve into that with whatever your interests are, just don't stop and just try to go for it.
Couldn't agree more. What did your 21-year-old self do that you wouldn't be caught dead doing now?
Oh, man. Too many tequila shots, because when I was 28-ish, I really felt that. I was like, okay, I gotta stop like the tequila and the hard alcohol drinking was like, oh man,
Yeah.
it hurt.
When it starts to take 2 days to recover,
Exactly.
that's when you know
Yeah,
it's
man.
time to calm down.
Yeah, but you know, when you're 21, you just have endless energy.
That's for sure.
I'm in bed now by 9:30. I'm like, yeah, I'm going out. Good night.
Yeah. What did you think was so important at the time, but now realize wasn't that important?
I would probably say time. I think time is back then I just would spend less time with family, more with friends, fucking around, running around. And I've really come to know that time is the most valuable thing on earth. You cannot buy it. It goes fast. And you only have a certain amount when you're 21 till you're 28 until you're 38, and things hurt like tequila shots. And it's just father time doing its thing, and it's just to me, it's just like I really value like where I spend my time, and right now it's really focused around my family and being around my kids and stuff like that.
Okay. If you had to start again without your network, but knowing everything you know now, what would you do to start earning a living in 30 days?
Man, just being who I am and just trying to make it work again, just being good to people, working hard, and just hustling.
Yeah.
For sure.
And what excites you most about your life right now?
Oh, man. Just doing what I love to do, feeling good, family feeling good, working on cool projects that I'm passionate about, having fun. Those things are exciting to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you could send one 140 character tweet out to the world that the whole world would see, what would it say?
140?
Yeah. Well, that's what a tweet is, right? Have they extended it since I? No.
Just I don't know about 140, but I would just say life is just one day at a time.
That's good. Good advice. And where can people find you online?
Just really Instagram and Twitter is all I have. So at DJ Albie, and that's DJALBIE, both Twitter and Instagram, and that's kind of where I live. And it's just mostly just passion projects that I work on here at Stance, my family, some sneakers here and there.
Right.
just things that I'm interested in, man.
Yeah. That's pretty much it. Mike Shahade is in the building. You have any questions before we get out of here?
No, I just wish I had this man's life. I love my life, but this is what... No, I'm good, man.
All right.
Good.
All right. Well, thanks. I know time is precious, and I appreciate you taking
Yeah,
the time
man,
with
sorry.
us.
Just a little shotgun career change today, but all for the good.
All right. Well, thank you.
Thank you,
Appreciate
Eric.
it.
Thanks again to my special guest, Albie Rosario, and thanks to everyone for tuning in. If you enjoyed what you heard, please subscribe on the podcast app and leave us a great comment. A good comment will also do. An okay comment might do. But leave us something. Let us know what you're thinking about the show. Check us out on Facebook, facebook.com/The Indie Playbook. And again, if you want to win a pair of Stance socks, actually make that 3 pairs of Stance socks, the Anthem collection with Biggie, Aaliyah, and Eazy-E, make sure you email podcast@focusednoise.com. Send us your favorite track by one of the 3 artists, podcast@focusednoise.com. And once again, thank you for tuning in. We will catch you next week. Appreciate it. Peace.